Now we're going to go over increasing and decreasing. So increasing and decreasing are going to be kind of self-explanatory. From the name, we can understand that increasing is going up or getting bigger, decreasing is going down or getting smaller. And mathematically, what basically is happening is that increasing means that as x is getting bigger, f of x, or our output, is also getting bigger. So we're going up in x, up in y, positive y. Decreasing is going to be from left to right. We're going to go up in x, but we're going to go down in y. So as x gets bigger, our f of x is going to get smaller. And all we're going to do is we're going to cut these into chunks the best that we can. To be honest, finding exactly where it flips is a calculus question, so that's something that you can come back and ask me about in calculus. But for now, we're just going to do it the best that we can. So on this one, we're going to look for where it's increasing and where it's decreasing. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at it and we're going to go from left to right. So in other words, we're going to go from smallest to biggest in our x. From left to right, we notice that as we go to the right, or as we're getting bigger, our y is also getting bigger. So this chunk here, which is from negative infinity, because we start all the way down there, all the way up to -2, that's about where it splits, is going to be increasing. Here, you notice that it starts to go down. So as we go forward in x, we're getting a smaller y. That means that our next section is going to be decreasing from -2, and we're going to include the -2, and we're going to go all the way to infinity and beyond. This one is going to be more work. What we're going to do is we're going to say that it's increasing. Where is it increasing from? Well, from this point down here all the way up to the top, it is increasing. And you notice that we have a closed circle, and we're going based off of our x values. So we're going to come down from there. It was about -11, and we're going to go all the way up until about -5. Now, is that the only part? No, but we'll come back to it in half a second. This part here, we're going from big down to small as our x goes from larger as our x is increasing. Since our x is increasing and our y is decreasing, we're going to call that decreasing. And we're going to go, and it starts at -5 in our x, and it goes all the way, that's about a 5 or a 6, we'll call it a 6, all the way down to 6. Now this part here is also increasing because we're getting bigger as our x gets bigger. Now, the official math way of writing this is with this fancy U, and this fancy U means that we're uniting things. It's a union. And so our union is from wherever it starts at, which is going to be this next interval. These are called interval notation. This is interval notation, and these are called intervals. So we're going to go from 6 all the way up to 11. So we're going to 6 to 11, and we're not going to include it because it's an open circle. So we're going to call it a parentheses. So this would read increasing from -11 to -5 with a and or union, 6 increasing from 6 to 11. Decreasing is -5 to -6. So if you're to give me this, I could say, oh yeah, from here to here, we are actually decreasing. Another quick check, go ahead and identify when the function is increasing and when the function is decreasing. Positives and negatives. Okay, positive and negative, we're going to just guess what it is. Go ahead and take like half a second to pause the video, figure out what, make a yes. And your guess probably is that positive means that it's bigger than 0, and that negative means that it's less than 0. And we're going to go with our output. So our y value, or our f of x. If f of x is greater than 0, then it's going to be positive. So if we're on our y-axis, everything this direction is positive. Everything this direction is negative. You notice it splits right along our x-axis. And any of our x-intercepts, which we'll talk about later, are going to be the switch between negative to positive. So positive, our output is greater than 0. Negative, our output is less than 0. Here's some examples. I'm going to just shade them for you, and then we'll go ahead and talk about them. So positive is going to be this chunk up in here. or in other words, from here to here, we'll go ahead and shade it the best we can. That's all positive. This chunk down here, this is going to be negative, and this is going to be negative. And we can write it out in interval notation again. So we're going to go positive, and I'm just going to do it this way because I'm a little bit lazy. And we're going from where does it cross the x-axis? From -3, and it's starting at -3. And where does it end? At -1. What about our negative? When is it negative? Well, that's from, we started all the way down here at -infinity, and we're going to go all the way up to -3. And then we're going to add in another set. So we're going to use the union sign, and we're going to go from, where does it stop? -1 all the way down to infinity. This one here, we have negative down here, negative all the way through here, and then we have our positive chunk and our positive chunk. So our positive chunk is going to be from wherever that one is to wherever that one is. It looks like it's -7 to -3 because we're starting at -7 and we go all the way until -3. And then we're going to add on with that union. That looks about in 10. So we're going to go from 10 to 11. And remember, open circle is a parentheses. What about our negative? Our negative, here I'll do a plus, I'll do negative here. Our negative is from this point here, which we said was a -11, and it goes all the way up to the point where it flips. So we're going up to 7. And then we're unioning it because we have another chunk here. And we're going to go, and to be honest, because 0 is technically non-negative and non-positive, you probably could get away with doing them as parentheses. Depends on what your teacher says. I don't really care. For me, the technically correct way to do it would be with parentheses. So I'm going to make a note of that and do some parentheses here. So we're going to go from where, well, we're going from where did we stop being positive, which was at -3. And then where did we stop being negative or started being positive again? And that was at 10. And that's how you would do it. So now go ahead and do your quick check and identify which of these functions, where on the function it is positive and where it is negative.